into art? Yep. Okay, cool. Like what kind of art? Drawing, painting, graphic design? How many of you have ever been to an art museum? I'm going to be honest. There are times when I don't quite see what other people see in some art pieces. What an art critic might call a masterpiece to me looks like a couple dots in a blue canvas. I don't always get it, but then there are those works of art that are undeniably masterpieces. Everyone can see it. You think you can name some of them? Let's see. Then you want to know what this piece is or who created it? This is the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. That'd be hard to get for sure, so maybe you'll get this next one. Okay, I'll give you a couple of hints for this one. The name has to do with the sky and the time of day. And I'm all ears to hear your answer. Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. You see the ear? He didn't have it. He cut off an ear. And the next one. Oh, I know you know this one. It's by one of my favorite Ninja Turtles. This is the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel painted by Michelangelo. Okay, try not to be too loud on this one, but this one is called The Scream by Edvard Munch. Okay, looks like we have two more. Okay, I know somebody will get this one. I mean, please don't miss this one. Right, this is The Last Supper by, once again, Leonardo da Vinci. And last but not least, any guesses? This one is really pretty interesting. Now, work of art might not be your first thought when you see this, but this image definitely features some works of art called humans. The artist? God. That's right, people are God's masterpieces. For some of you, this might sound strange. You might wonder how people can be a masterpiece, especially when we can all look so different from each other. On top of that, we act differently. We enjoy different things. We speak different languages. This all begs the question, how can we all be God's masterpiece if we're so different? How does that work? So to answer today's questions, we head back to the beginning, like the beginning. In Genesis. In Genesis, we read that God created. What did God create? The heavens and the earth. God made the world and everything in it, the land, the sky, the sea. And then God filled them with an incredible variety of creatures. All sorts of birds in the sky, sea creatures, and land creatures. But God wasn't finished. God still had a new part of creation in mind. Any guesses what that is? No, it was not the Mona Lisa. It was people. Check this out. Then God said, "Let us make human beings so that they are like us. Let them rule over the fish in the seas and the birds in the sky. Let them rule over the livestock and all the wild animals, and let them rule over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created human beings in his own likeness. He created them to be like himself. He created them as male and female. That's huge. But it can also be a little confusing. So let's dive a little deeper here. But first, let's start here. Bing. Sometimes when we hear other people talk about humans and why we're here, they don't really talk as if humans are God's masterpieces. Instead, they act as if humans are disappointing, shameful, accidents, worthless, all the same. You have any you could add? But they're kind of depressing, right? But thankfully, that's not what the picture we get of what God created at all. When it came to creating humans, God didn't say he was going to make them like the birds or like plants. All of those things were made according to their kinds. But when God created humans, God made them in God's own image. Now let's break that down a bit because that might still sound confusing. I am not saying that we are God. I'm not saying that we are like God in every way. Only God is God. What I am saying is that God made humans to reflect what God is like. Just like an artist makes a statement through the masterpiece he or she creates, God said something about himself through how he created humans. But if it's not about our physical features, then what is it about? One of the first ways we are like God is in our ability to be creative. Another way we reflect God's image is how we are relational with each other. And another way that we are like God is that we are caring. So after creating humans, check out what God does next. God blessed them. He said to them, "Have children so that there will be many of you. Fill the earth and bring it under your control. Rule over the fish in the seas and the birds in the sky. Rule over every living creature that moves along the ground." Sure, there are some really cool things in creation. Flowers can reflect God's creativity, but that is about as far as they can go. Blue whales display God's power, but they aren't relational like humans. Humans are different. We represent God on earth as we bear God's image and represent what God is like. God created you on purpose, and He has a plan for your life. Just like that picture from earlier, it doesn't matter if we look anything like one another. Every single person you meet is created in God's image. You and you and you and you and you and you and all of you were made to reflect who God is to the world. God wants to do that through all of the ways that you're so unique. Our hope is that this month you'll discover some things about yourself and the way that God made you so that you can use what you learn to show others what God is like and make a difference.
Reveal the question.
So how would you describe God? Think about what you've learned about God or what you've experienced God in your own life. How we understand God can have an impact on how we see the world around us and ourselves.